Hey, good afternoon to everybody who's watching this stream. I hope that you are having an amazing Friday. It's a Veterans Day. First of all, let me thank all the veterans for your service. Happy Veterans Day. Um, and I'm really excited to go live. This is kind of the first one I've done like this, but I'm really excited to go live because I have a very special guest on with me. And I just wanted some time to chat. So, Dr. Tiffany Jenkins of Awakening Change is on live with Dr. Rhonda on today. How are you, Dr.
Hey,
Tiffany? Hey,
I am
girl.
here.
Hey,
I am
listen.
here, and that's all that matters.
Let's basically say like knowing is half the battle, like
There it
showing
is.
up is half
Showing up.
the
Showing up today is the whole battle
listen.
for
I
me.
don't think we
It's
realized as
mm-mm.
kids when they were like, I got clothes on and I'm in my right mind. Clothes and in my right mind is now
That's the standard. That is the standard. I don't care what else happens.
a
Clothes,
clothes. I got on
I
clothes.
clean clothes. That's a bonus, right? Because the other day I almost walked out the house in my pajama bottoms
Listen,
because I don't know where my head was, but I got to the door and then realized, sis,
sis.
go back. Go don't do that. Don't do that. Like now granted they were clean pajama bottoms cuz I took a shower and didn't feel like getting dressed. I was like, "Yeah, I'll
Of
throw these
course,
on."
of course, of course.
But they were pajama bottoms. So the clothing in my right mind has taken on a new meaning for me here
Okay.
lately. Okay? That and what's the me and the devil had a tussle and I won.
Holy smokes. And you
Listen,
won.
listen. I used to laugh when old folks make songs like that, but now I'm like, oh, I get it. Never
Listen,
mind.
my mom is world famous for being like, just keep living. Just keep living, baby. Just keep living. Yeah, just keep living. Now we know what weeks can get you when
Baby,
you're a grown folk.
baby, I want my money back. They lied to me.
Right.
Now I know why Jeffrey said I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Right,
I
right,
should
right.
have listened because adulthood is the most ghetto hood I have ever
Ever,
lived in.
ever.
0 stars, would not recommend. Like, no, but it's
Yeah.
okay because I'm here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I first of all thank you for making time on your Friday to chat with me. I want to of course, share your amazing story, but I also want to give people a little bit of an inside track to what it's like to work with SoulScribe, what it's like to work with me, kind of some of the things that you've overcome in some of the things that you've overcome in writing your journey. Of course, now that I'm live, like all the stuff is going off, right? The phone is going off.
Mhm.
Okay, so excuse me.
Always, always.
But oh no, we're gonna they gonna wait because this is
Hmm.
important. I really want to tap into some of the challenges that you were facing that really pulled you into the soul scribe world and made you realize that this was a move that you wanted to take. So I'll turn it over to you and just give me a little bit about what you were facing.
So, the project that I'm working on now with SoulScribe is actually my second book. Um, second and a half. So I did a anthology that I was a contributing expert for back in 2020, maybe something like
Mhm.
that. And then I had my book that I wrote, which was Reclaiming My Time: A Black Woman's Guide to Self Care. I published that. That was great. Had a lot of success. This project though was different because this is a project that I have been running for probably for about 10 years easy.
Mhm.
Um, and so this was different because this was not just my intellectual writing. And after you write a dissertation, like you can literally write anything, so that's not the problem.
Right. Right.
It was the soul part. of it that was hard,
Mhm.
quite frankly. It was that digging into the, I'll even say, the spiritual side of who I am, a side that I have run from for a very long, long time. Um, Me and Jonah, we understand each other.
Right.
So it was difficult to first of all admit that. And one of the things that I think I said to you in our first session, when after you snatched my wig completely.
Wait a minute. We didn't set this up for slander.
Listen, but the truth will make you free.
Wait a minute.
So I talked to you and you literally started, and it was just supposed to be a casual, like, hey, what's up? I heard you got some stuff going on. We might need to connect. And it turned into, let me tell you why you need to do this now. And I know you've been running and I know it's hard. And I was just like, just slide all the way out the chair. Um, but it was what I needed. Like 6 pages of notes later,
Right.
um, I legit was like, okay, all right, I got to do this. And then through our conversations, moving from that place of, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it, to a place of complete and total surrender to the process. It has transformed me before it's anybody else has even read a single page.
Right.
Um, because even when we started working together, I was like, no, 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 I'm gonna write this other book and it's gonna be okay. And I'm gonna do this. And you were like, but is that really the one you're supposed to write? No, no, I got a plan and I
I have
know
a
how
whole
this is
I have
gonna
a whole
go.
agenda to avoid the actual project.
Right. Like, no, no, no. This is the way I'm gonna do. And then I'll write that other book that's been like harassing me for the past 10, 15 years. I'll write that later.
Right.
Um, and it's funny because even in the book, I talk about that a little bit, about how the book originally was, in my bachelor's program way back when. It was my senior thesis about
Mm.
bridging the gap between faith-based communities and treatment communities. And I talked about why it was necessary and what the benefits are, particularly in the African American community, where we are a very faith-based people. And I was like, okay, cool, great, that's it. And then some years later, probably about, so yeah, this has probably been going on 15 years, because then about 10 years later, then I started the practice and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do a workshop about it and I'll make it a workshop. And we did the workshop and folks loved it. And a couple people came up to me after the workshop and was like, this really should be a book. I was like, haha, you're funny.
And
No.
hence we start the
Okay.
running.
Right. Like, no, I had my running shoes on already. But like, so I was like, no, because if I'm being honest, my feedback from my professor on that bachelor's thesis was, you should really look more into this. This could really develop into something.
Right.
Nope, strapped the running shoes on, tied them up tight. Fast forward to 2018, and I did this event, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, you should really make this a book. Nope, took off. And even when I got the opportunity to write my first book, um, I immediately was like, no, I'm not doing it. Not, nope, that's not it. Let me do something that's easy, something I know. It's my first book, right? I got to take my time. I got to learn the process first. I got to do all of these things,
Mhm, mhm.
excuses and lies. And I did. And even there was so much that I kind of didn't do because, like, it was like, mm-mm, no, 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 this is
Right.
enough. This is the cerebral part. We're going to keep it there. We're not going to expose all of this stuff. And, you know, one of the things that I've come to learn in my practice, both in my practice with my clients and then in my own journey with therapy, is like, it takes more work to keep that stuff in than it does to just kind of let it out.
Right.
And so the last couple of months have been a very, very cathartic process for me. And allowing God to really just kind of reach into those hidden parts, that some of the parts I knew about and just tried to hide from everybody else, but some of them were parts that were hidden even from me.
Mhm.
And so in this process of writing, it's been very cathartic for me. And it's been it's interesting because I was like, okay, every day I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write this many pages. And there have been times when I could very distinctly hear, no, you're not writing anything today. You're going to watch this sermon. You're not writing anything today. You're going to read about this. You're not writing anything today. Okay, now I want you to write.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to write a chapter. No, you're not. I just want you to write this part. And it's been having that connection with someone who is, also a believer and who walks in a different um calling, in a different place of, being a midwife, not just for books and projects and things like that, but just to be able to see you and call you out on your stuff in a whole nother level has been really helpful for me. So um it's just been a process. It's been a sometimes not so warm and fuzzy process,
Right.
because when you have to dig up things that are so painful and so difficult, it's not somewhere you choose to go.
Hmm.
But I have found a new level of comfort. And because I have leaned into this so heavily, there have been so many things that have happened just in the past 3 or 4 months, good and bad, that let me know that I am really on the right track. There are some doors that have opened, there's some mess that has tried to jump up, but it lets me know that I'm on the right path, right? Like, you don't, if you're playing a video game, you never encounter like the big monster if you're going the wrong way. They'll let you go the wrong way. Nobody needs to bother you. But when you start moving toward the end of that round or the end of that board,
Hmm.
that's when all the opposition starts. So I know I'm in the right spot. I'm
Yes,
cool.
I absolutely agree. And as the coach who kind of is on the sidelines, cheering you on, kind of helping you formulate that game plan and cheering you on, it's been really encouraging and fulfilling to watch you go through this process, um, to see how you're tapping into the thing, right? So, our big thing when we met, or not met, but when we started working on this project, because we've known each other for years, but when we started working on this project together, it was clear that you thought you were going to get through this in your academic brain, right? And
Problem.
it was clear that you thought you were going to think your way through this. And I think for many professionals, myself included, we're so comfortable in that professional expert skin, that we often shy away from our actual greatness, the emotional side of us, the part that makes us the phenom that we are. We just see, I accomplished, I did it, and I know all of these things. And what the signature story does, and what I have been urging you and coaching you and pushing you to do, is to tap into the heart behind
Mhm.
that expertise and
Mhm.
not just focus on here's where I am and here's all the stuff that all the knowledge I've amassed, which for you is extensive, right? All that knowledge, yeah, we want that knowledge, but what we also want is the heart behind it, the story behind it. And that is what makes for a transformative story, when you're able to share with people more than
Mhm.
your expertise. And so I think for you, as when I think when we first started talking, you had a speaking engagement coming up. You were like, I want this book to be this, this is, you were very clear on what you wanted in terms of your book. And we when we started really digging into what this book was going to be about, it was too easy because you sat down one day and wrote half the book. And I said,
You had to tell all my business, huh?
what
Okay.
is this shenanigans? So we really had to go back and look at, is this the signature story, right? Because again,
Mhm.
you're an accomplished author already. You have very successful practice already. So, what is the difference between the stuff that you've written and this signature story? And then why do you need it? And what is it intended to do for you? As
Mhm.
somebody who believes that, okay, I've done this work, I've plowed the ground, I have this successful practice going on, and now I've got this story that I'm being compelled to share. Great. Now what? Right. So the big barrier was, I know I want to do these things and I want to have a book that goes with it. So how do we accomplish all of that stuff?
Mhm.
And I think your biggest barrier was your your intellect, right? Your
Oh, for sure.
expertise
Oh, for
was
sure.
the first barrier. And once we realized, hey, we're not interested in another textbook, right? We had that whole conversation. Then we started looking at what the real barriers were. And they tended to be more of those kind of emotional things, like, do I share my heart? Do I tell all the story? Do I tell the real, right? Do I get down into the dirty, and talk a little bit about that? Talk a bit about some of those barriers beyond the mechanics of it, but when it really came to initiating the process and really um looking at what you had to get past to begin that writing process, because I do remember you had to sit for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
and
That was
really grapple with some things. So, just at a kind of high level, what
so
were some of the things you had to kind of manage?
one of the things is, so in therapy, right? One of the things that we are taught foundationally is that, the focus is not you, right? So as a therapist who wanted to write a book that bridged faith and what I know as a therapist, the biggest challenge was, one, you're not supposed to talk about yourself.
Mm,
And then, okay, but I have to talk about myself to get the story across. Then the second thing is, but you're not supposed to introduce faith into the therapy room. And so it was this struggle of, this is really who I am. And I'm not one of those, like, I don't have like the super tatted out, you know, 12 by 18 King James version of the Bible sitting on my desk at all. Like, I'm not that
right,
person, right?
right.
Like, I am legit the person who will Google a scripture it sitting in Sunday service and then just like mark it and a bookmark before I will actually like carry an actual Bible, just because part of that is just convenience. The other part is I'm lazy. So like I it was I don't want to come across as that person because that's not genuinely who I am. But it is who I am because I know that my entire journey to this place, um I did not take a traditional route to get here. I didn't go
Hmm.
back to school until I was married and already had 2 kids to finish a bachelor's degree that I ran out of money for when I was in my early teens. So, like, nothing about my transition, my evolution to this place has been traditional. And it started to worry me that I was going to appear to be breaking all of the rules of everything that I had known. And what happened in that time of just sitting still and listening was me being taken back to, okay, Jesus was the OG rebel. Like, he did all the stuff he wasn't supposed to do.
Right.
Like, he had lunch with tax collectors. He talked to the hoochie mamas. He did all of the things that nobody wanted him to do. And it's like, if you know that and this is part of who you are, you know, therapy also tells us that we have to bring our most authentic self into a space.
Hmm.
And so it was like, okay, wait, you can't say that and then not do that. And
Right.
the people who this is for will get it the way that they're supposed to get it, the way that you intended. They'll hear the heart behind it, and the people that don't, it's just not for them. So like, why are you stressing about people who you weren't called
Hmm.
to reach anyway? And so
Exactly.
that was kind of the pulling point for me was, you're about to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. and lose the folks that I'm calling you to reach at the expense of these folks who probably don't like you no way. So what's the point? And that was kind of the light bulb that kind of went off that gave me the freedom to sit with it. The other thing was telling my story. So the whole premise that I built the book on is my own father wound, is what I'll call it.
Mhm.
And about the relationship that I had with, or the lack of relationship is a better way to put it, that I had with my father, and how that was only healed through my faith and what I learned in therapy. It wasn't one or the other, it was both. And so, because, themes like forgiveness and those automatic thoughts, and um how do I approach God as father when I don't even like the one that I'm assigned to here on this side? um how do I work through that, and how do I
Mhm.
work through it in a way that not only honors God but doesn't damage me in the process? And that was kind of, it's funny because after I made up my mind, okay, God, if this is the book that you want me to write, then I'll write it. All kinds of stuff started happening in my work with my clients, where some of those similar themes and some of the things that I told them started coming back to me. And it was like, see, this is why you gotta write this book. See,
Right.
see, see,
Right.
told you.
Right.
This is what you thought, you was crazy when I said that to you. Nope.
So you started seeing impact. You started to see
Immediately. Immediately.
this is where I fit. The discovery of that signature part of yourself, right? Not just having the expertise, and not just having a story, right? You've got this really powerful life story, you've got this great expertise, but it really wasn't until you kind of put those two together and understood how they aligned that
Mhm.
you even started to see this is
Mhm.
where it belongs. This
Mhm.
is why I went through
Mhm.
these things. And this is why I'm supposed to tell this story,
Mhm.
not the other, three or four books you may have in you, but this
Right.
particular story. So, so share with me a little bit, like when it came to once you got aligned, and in coaching with me, how did that translate into now we are getting ourselves aligned for the stage? Not only is it revolutionizing your practice and your approach to how you impact the people that you're working with on a regular basis, but it also started attracting some very lucrative opportunities for you. So share with us some of the things that just having your signature story crafted, it's not even finished yet, right? We're
Mhm.
still working on that.
Mhm.
But just
Mhm.
share with us some of the things that have come from that.
Well, it the biggest thing for me is that I've reached a new level of authenticity, right? And I said jokingly, people were sick of me before. They really gonna be sick of me now, because I have never.
Healed and got your voice. They just not ready. They're not
Oh,
ready.
they not, because it was always there, right? Like there was a degree of me in everything I do, because I can't, my memory is not good enough for me to fake, because I'll forget what face I put on,
Right.
and it's not, it just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So there was a degree of that already. But what I found is that now, having found really this new place of healing and wholeness, what happens is that the imposter syndrome goes away, right? It's yeah, I no, I'm here because there's somebody in this room, and if I look around long enough, I'll figure it out. Might not even have to do that, because I spoke at one women's conference recently. Shout out to Dr. Atia Lofton of Unchurched Church Girl Conference. That was a time.
Mhm.
And I was speaking, and I had my cute little notes and stuff, and they went out the window. And before and I found this out later, before I had finished speaking, two or three women had already went on the website and signed up to connect with me and work with me, because of what I was saying and the way that I was. delivering what I was delivering.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, when Dr. Lofton told me that, it was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh yeah, this is working. This is
Yeah.
it." You know?
Yeah.
Um I people were asking me, "You said you were writing a book. Can we get the book yet?" I mean, yeah, sure. Like, you can pre-order it, give me your address, and when it ships, I'll give it to you. Things like that, just because I dared to be fully me, not
Yeah.
like 80% of me, and holding back that other part, because you can't say that. If you
Mhm.
say that, they gon' ooh. And a lot of that is shame based. It's rooted in, a lot of religiosity that has nothing to do with God himself. A lot of the issues that I experienced when I was growing up, that I just kept everything to myself and internalized it. And so, in the abyss of my mind, there's some things that go on in there that just, they
Mhm.
needed to see the light of day. and
Right.
and through our work together, it really made space for me to make my peace with the fact that it's not always going to be pretty, but it's always necessary, right?
Right.
Because the Bible doesn't say that everything feels good. It just says it has to work for your good.
Right.
And so that kind of became that, between that and that assignment you told me to do, which, mm, that was a problem. What is truth and what is fact?
Yeah. That
Wrecked. Wrecked.
listen, but that
Wrecked.
exercise, I use that exercise. Actually, my mother uses that exercise on me quite often. But I use that
Ooh.
exercise in my practice because truth is based on the stuff that we've told ourselves over our lifetime. It doesn't mean it's reality. It does not always equate with fact. For you, I took it a little step further and I said, okay, let's talk about fact. But then I said, let's go biblically because that is the lane you're in. And I said, now let's look at what the truth, what the facts actually are. And so that
It was
I
a setup. It was a setup.
it was a whole setup. I did set you up. But I that helps clients to step out of their own headspace, their own stories that they tell themselves, and to step into kind of the real story, what
Mhm.
is really being told about you, right? What do you really think? And so often as experts, we see ourselves as experts and no more. We don't really step out and look at the phenom that we are, right? All of the things that we overcame, all of the junk that we had to filter through, all the obstacles and the challenges, all the junk, right? The sexism, the racism, the family issues, all of that stuff that we had to manage over here in our personal life. And we think we're just accomplished in this professional
Mhm.
expertise lane. And when we're able to step out and look over the totality of what we've experienced, the facts, everybody's mind is blown every time because we are so focused on accomplishment. We don't look at the totality of how amazing we are. And I think that was big for you too, to just be like, hey, I'm Dr. J, but daggone, this some I
Imma
got
tell
some stuff.
you the other part to that, though, is that as I was doing that, I got reminded of a therapy assignment I was given. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the modality that I practice and that I my therapist practices, is the best way to put it. um you write out all of your thoughts, and then you find evidence. Like, your goal is to find the supporting evidence for those thoughts.
Hmm.
And if you can't find actual supporting evidence, then you have to kind of bury that thought. You have to grieve the we're going to bury this one. We're going to have a funeral for this thought because it doesn't work.
It's not true, right?
And so, as I'm doing the assignment that you gave me, it was like, You already know this. Why you tripping? What? No, I don't. Mhm.
But it's the process. It's
And
the
it's like,
process.
listen to your own stuff. Like, and it was just like, oh. So yeah, after that session I came back, and that was when I was finally, I think, ready to start
Yeah.
writing the book.
Yeah. So I again, I thank you. I know we're coming up on time, but I want to celebrate you for going through the process. I'm excited about the release of your book. I'm excited about the invitations that you're getting to textbooks and major stages, the opportunities. I don't even know how many major opportunities you have at this point. Like,
I don't, you know what? I probably need to sit and think about it, because there were some that didn't quite come through yet. So I'm trying to be cautious in my celebration because they're still in process. But the invitations, it's funny because the invitations to speak at faith-based conferences about how to include mental health and faith and combine those in a way that's meaningful have been coming from everywhere, like literally everywhere. And I'm like, huh? Like,
mhm.
what? Like, in I had 2 within the past month. I have another one that's coming up in March. These are all faith-based conferences, and I'm like, "Oh, so y'all do want to hear about mental health?" Because that was initially when we first talked. That was the reason why I told you I couldn't do this book. Because
Right.
nobody wants to read a book. Nobody in the faith community wants to read about a book about mental health. Nobody in the mental health community wants to read a book about faith. So, like, let's work on this other story. We'll frame it
Right.
this way, and then,
No, but then we
eventually,
discovered the truth of the matter. What
it's
the
the
beautiful thing
facts.
about this is, where I always say your signature story is going to attract the speaking invitations.
Yes, it
And
is.
what it has done is
Yes, it is.
attract the invitations for the people who need what you have.
Mhm.
And that is what I really want people to see, the power of the signature story, that you're not out shopping
Nope.
speaking opportunities,
Nope.
but they're coming, international opportunities. I mean, major stages. So that's the major takeaway, I think, for that part of it, is that the signature story, it is a process getting there. One of the
Mhm.
things that I am going to do as coach, and what we do at SoulScribe, is to make sure that you are telling the signature
Your story.
story, that
Mhm.
you're not just placating this idea of writing a book, but you're actually writing the story that matters. It's going to change you, impact others, and it's going to start attracting speaking invitations. And eventually you're going to get to a point where you're just like, listen, I can't do all of these, right? And that's where we really want to get you,
Mhm.
where you have to, you'll be saying no more than you're saying yes. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, the
That's a good
key.
problem to have.
It is a good problem to have, and there's a strategy for that too. But
Mhm.
in the interim, it's beautiful to see the process at work, right? It's beautiful to see the transformation. It's beautiful to see your goals being met,
Mhm.
and to see that when you tap into your authentic story, when you tap into who you are created to be, there's a whole lot that happens for you as the writer internally, but also that external impact that you're able to have.
Mhm.
And then you're encouraging people, to book you. They're attracted to you. Those invitations start, and they just keep coming.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I am tremendously proud of you, very excited. And we'll have more of these, because there's so much more we could talk about. But I think I don't have a timer up, but I think we're probably at about the 30-minute mark. So I want to thank you again for joining me live. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Give us the name of the book if you're ready to share your release date, you can, but give us the
Okay.
name and give us a quick 90-second outro.
So the name of the book is Between the Couch and the Cross. And the release date is scheduled for December the 1st. That is my target right now. And it is Pre-orders are open on the website www.awakeningchange.org/shop. There's a tab at the top. You can pre-order it, and as soon as they come in, I will be signing all of the copies that are ordered through the site. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this impacts others. And if nobody else gets anything, I've already got it. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much again,
Thank you.
everybody. I hope that you guys have been transformed by this session, and I'll be sharing it. If you're catching it on the replay, make sure you know that you're catching it on the replay. And if this changes you in any way, inbox me, send me a DM, send me an email, team@thedrrhonda.com. And let me know that you're ready to write your signature story. You're ready to coach with me so you can get on stage to not only transform lives and impact others, but to also create and generate income for yourself. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.